Hello everyone, my name is Sordy and this is part 0 of the Ultimate Trackmania guide. With consoles being released recently, I thought this was the perfect time to create a full guide that covers all fundamentals and more of the most popular styles. This will be a multi-part series, with today's episode covering everything outside of driving itself, so this will be things like menuing, like plugins, stuff like that. And the other parts will look into general driving, tech, full speed, slidey surfaces like dirt, grass and plastic, ice, and then another episode for everything that isn't covered in the rest. So without further ado, let's get into these menus that we're looking at here right now. So this is everything you see once you start up the game. In the top left, you can see your driver profile. Here you can see stats of everything you play. I want to highlight one part here, which are the trophies. Trophies are basically an experience point system, with each experience point lasting for about 1 year. Every trophy is worth 10 times as much as the last. So for example, this trophy 1 here is only worth 1 point, while trophy 2 is worth 10 points. And you can acquire these trophies by playing in any Nadeo hosted activity. So for example, online matchmaking at the end of the season, you might get some trophies based on your ending rank, or if you win the cup of the day, you'll even get 1,000,000 points if you manage to get first in the first division. Now before I go on, I do want to talk about the dreaded subscription model. As you can see, there are 3 tiers of access. Starter access is the free edition of the game. You can access the current campaign, play ranked and royal, create your own tracks and participate in a limited set of online lobbies. So this is basically a big demo for the game, so you can check out if you like it. The second tier of access is standard. This is €10 a year. Now you may not be happy about the subscription model in general, but for €10 a year you do get a ton of content back for it. This tier of access already unlocks the biggest part of the game. With standard you can access all previous campaigns and track of the days, join any online server that is hosted, and you can also participate in the prestigious Cup of the Day and Super Royal tournaments, and even submit mobs for them. You can also join all online activities, such as community hosted competitions. And the last tier is club access. This is €30 a year or €60 for 3 years. With this you can host your own club, which is basically like a community hub. Think of guilds or clans in other games. In your club you can upload car skins, host your own tournaments and also servers. You also get a neat club tag to show off which club you're a part of. You can also spectate and play live against any ghost on the leaderboard, allowing you to see what exactly the world record is doing to get such a good time. And lastly, if you want to join the highest level of competition, the Trackmania World Tour, you are also required to be a club member. So all in all, the starter access is good for starting off, checking out if you like the game. Standard access is good for most people, as you can access basically anything in the game. But once you really get into Trackmania, then club access might be worth looking at. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, what else do we have here? You have the ability to change region. It is known that you can change to another country, for example if you like their skin, their car skin, but it is advised against it, as it's in the scene as the community as fake flagging, which is kind of looked down upon, as many smaller communities kind of rely on the leaderboards to check out who are close to them. And lastly, you can check out the garage, where you can change your skin and also look through your list of skins that you've already applied at some point. This is only available with club access, although with the other accesses you can have normal skins such as bronze or ranked skins. And now if we go back to the main screen, in the top right you can check out your club if you're in one. If you pin or unpin your club, that determines where you can see it, and then you can either remove or add a club tag. You can only have one club tag at once, so for example here this will be ESABS, which will be left to my name in lobbies as well. Now let's take a look at the settings. I just want to go over a couple of things that might be important. For example here, you can disable ads if you have standard access or higher. In the video access there's something I want to highlight, which is first of all if I can find it, the display mode. Right now it's in window for me, but if you're playing, you do want to check if this is full screen. The game has a habit of going to windowed borderless, which will increase your lag. So make sure this is on full screen. Then for, let's see, shaders quality, if you can handle it, put this on very high. This will make certain borders appear, which can help with certain blocks. And lastly, I do suggest disabling motion blur. It's simply much better without. For controls, if you're playing on the pad, controller, check out your dead zone here. You want to make sure that if you're not steering, you're actually not steering and not just steering 1% to the left. I do also want to highlight that it doesn't matter which device you can play on. People have one COTD with a mouse, with bongos, with everything. So as long as you're comfortable with it, just go with it. And lastly, you can also adjust your setting here for network speed. Make sure that this is not on very low. Just put it a bit higher, as high as you're comfortable with. If this is on low, it can give some issues with lag in game and not being able to connect to servers properly. And it has a habit of resetting at some point, so if you are experiencing some issues, check out this network speed right here. Apply it, and we can go back. So now that we have the boring stuff out of the way, let's look at what we can actually do in Trackmania. So right here, the solo tab is basically everything offline. The biggest thing here is the campaign. This is seasonal. Every 3 months a new campaign will be released of 25 fresh tracks for you to enjoy. For each track there are always 4 medals. That's the bronze medal, the silver medal, the gold medal and the author medal. The author medal can be quite tricky to get if you're a new player, and especially because the tracks get harder as you get further into the campaign. Even gold medals might be tricky on the black tracks, but if you keep hunting, I'm sure you can get this. You can also check how you're doing to your fellow players and see if you can beat their regional times. Further on, we have some training maps. The author medals for these are actually quite tough, so those might be a very good fundamental thing to go for. But these are very simple tracks just to get you acquainted with each different surface. Just as right here, road, dirt, bobsleigh, sausage road, and a looping. Right here we have the tracks of the day. These are only unlocked after you have standard access or higher. And these are basically your different tracks of the day. Each day a community map is chosen and will be displayed first in the cup of the day, which is a small knockout competition. And then that entire day the leaderboards will be open for that specific track. Now at this point there are many months of tracks being available, so once you have standard access you have a lot of stuff to try out and see what's fun. And lastly we have the library. These are community campaigns, so for example a list of classic full speed maps, maybe some TMS stands for Trackmania School. If you're looking for some campaigns to check out and get better at a certain surface, I highly recommend these. These are very basic maps where you can really optimize your lines and learn how the surface works. These campaigns are the same as if I would look here, and if I have a campaign uploaded here, then that will also be in this list right here. So you need club access to create one of these, but you only need standard access to access them. So now let's check out the live tab. This is basically like the online functionality of the game. First is Royal. Royal is a fun Fall Guys-like game mode with knockout of teams of 3. And your goal is to get as many finishes on the tracks as possible. Then we have Ranked. Ranked is probably the first kind of competitive game mode you'll be going through. These are in teams of 3 right now. And they start off on the white and green campaign maps if you're bronze. Then if you're silver, which is a rank higher, you'll be able to play all tracks of the campaign. So that will be blue, red, and black. And lastly, once you hit gold or higher, if your entire lobby is gold or higher even, you will get the Trackmania World Tour maps, which are definitely a couple of levels above the campaign maps, but very fun and very exciting to hunt for and get some good times on. These are the same maps that are also played in the highest level of Trackmania, although those are the easy versions, so will be a bit simpler than the ones they will be playing in the very highest, the Trackmania Grand League and Challenger League. Then we have the tracks of the day. This is of course very similar to the tracks of the day in the previous tab, although this one will have a permanent online server with just the track of the day. And if you join this when the track of the day is about to start, which is, if you look at France time, will be 7 p.m. for the main cup of the day, then you have the cup of the night at 3 a.m. and the cup of the morning at 11 a.m. Of course, if you're, for example, Australian, the cup of the night will be in the morning for you, so that may be a nice one to join. And if you join here, you will be put automatically in the cup. Then we have the arcade, the online rooms. These are basically your live servers. These top two here, anyone can access. You have the rotating spring campaign in this case, where the campaign will be hosted on an online server and we'll just go through all of the maps. Anyone can access this. Then you have the random online server. This is basically, as you can see, a schedule of different kind of map packs. And then everyone can join them and see which one they like. But if you have standard or higher, you can go through this and choose any server you'd like, or even kind of search for stuff. Like, for example, I like full speed. Let's type FS. And now we have a bunch of possible full speed servers. And lastly, we have events. Events are basically like competitions that you can join. For example, these are the Trackmania World Tour regionals. Now this specific one will be club only because it's a World Tour regional. But if you go back a bit, if you look at my events, these are events that happened which anyone can join, such as the random track generator cup, which happened about a month ago. And then you can join at the specified time and you can join the cup. And lastly, we have the local. So this is everything you can do on your own PC. For example, just play a track. You can go to TMX, which I will talk about later, favorite some tracks, and then maybe play them later. You have some local multiplayer, which can be either hot seat, where you can try to go for the fastest time one by one, or split screen, which is just racing against each other at the same time. You can also play against the replay. So you can download a replay somewhere and then play against it on that track. And lastly, you can host your own local server if you have standard or higher. And then anyone on your network can also join that server. Okay. And next up is the club functionality. These are mostly for club members. For example, you can, as a club access member, you can join TM School and look at the different campaigns. Remember that you can join any campaign if you have standard access or higher. So if you want to have some trial, check out those maps here. And you can get some practice in. Or maybe you just hit gold. You want to hunt or practice the official tracks you get in ranked. You can go to the Team WT Stage 2, which are the easy maps for Stage 2. And you can practice those. And on top here, you have your different clubs that you accessed recently. For example, I am currently joining the Eclipse event. So I have a nice campaign here that I can use to also practice the tracks with an easier accessibility. And if you have your own club, you can also go there and check some stuff out. And lastly, we have the Create tab. In the Create, this is basically everything that is involved in, for example, map making. Trackmania is very community oriented. Almost all of the tracks are made by community members. So if you go to the track editor, you can create new tracks, normal ones or royal ones. Edit tracks. This is also a way for free players to play any track they want, because you can download them, go to local tracks, go to download it, and here you will have a list of maps you can try out. And lastly, there's a small list of club items. These are basically extra items that you can use in your maps. Then we have the garage. This is basically the same as if you go to the garage in your profile page. You have a track review. This is where you can go to a server to either submit your own tracks for a track of the day or a super royal, or review someone else's and see how they are. Lastly, you have the replay editor, where you can watch your replays of maps or others' replays of maps. So if you don't have a club, for example, you can download a replay and you can go here and watch it. Now I also want to talk about OpenPlanet. This is a PC-only feature that was developed by Miss. OpenPlanet is a platform where people can develop their own plugins as additions to the game. This can be from something small, like changing loading screens, or adding complete new game modes, like Bingo. I will leave a link in the description on where to find it, and after you've installed it, you can press F3 for the OpenPlanet bar to appear. If you go to Plugin Manager and then Open Manager, this will be your manager for all your plugins. It will start on all your installed plugins, which will be nothing at the beginning. For this series, we'll be using the following plugins. Will be the default dashboard, which shows your steering input. Then the no respawn timer, which will show you the time you would have gotten if you hadn't respawned. Split speeds, which shows you how fast you were compared to your personal best. A checkpoint counter, just to see how far we are on the map. And lastly, the Ghost Scrubber. This is a tool that lets you freely control at which point of a run you want to watch a replay. It's very handy if you want to check one section just a couple of times to see what they're doing. I also recommend Ultimate Medals. This is basically a small list of medal times that you can easily look at. These will probably be your first goals when you start out, so they're nice to have on your screen somewhere. So now let's talk about the biggest game modes that you'll be playing. The simplest one is Time Attack. This is basically just get the best time possible within a certain time. If you go to the solo mode, this is basically Time Attack without the actual time. This is also known as hunting, just going for a good time without any other restrictions. The next biggest one will probably be rounds. So instead of continuously driving, the match is split up in rounds. Each finisher will be given points according to the position they will get in that round. So if you're first, for example, you may get 10 points. And this is done until someone gets the maximum amount of points, after which they win the match. Ranked is also a rounds game mode, slightly different, where the average position a team gets, which is the same as the highest points, will get 1 point. And then once you get some kind of, for ranked will be 5 points, you'll win the match. You also have cup mode, which is very similar to rounds, but instead of winning, after getting the max amount of points, you'll be put in a finalist position. You then need to win one round, and then you win. So you could get finalist as soon as possible, but if you then don't win any rounds, you'll still not win the match. And the last one is a knockout, where each round the slowest people get eliminated from the match. This is the main format of Cup of the Day, where in the beginning 4 people will be removed from the match if they are the slowest 4 people. One last thing I want to mention is that the Trackmania community is generally very helpful, both inside and outside of the game. If you're lost in anything, don't hesitate to ask in the in-game itself, or just the main Trackmania Discord. But all the way around as well. Make sure that you're not just flaming someone if they keep crashing in your ranked matches. If anyone knows they're doing bad, it'll be the crashing players themselves. Just say go and go to the next round. This way we can keep the Trackmania community from becoming toxic and have everyone have a better time all around. This should be everything you need to know though about the Trackmania before starting your journey. Next episode we'll be talking about general driving skills, such as choosing racing lines, how to take transitions, and how to analyze your runs. Hopefully see you next time and have a good one.